guys. So for me, sometimes it's difficult to conceive of how people are able to do such duplicitous things and get away with it. And so I think I understand, right? Let's imagine that Google is pretty correct when it says a typical person can reliably remember about 7 characters or so, plus or minus a few. This means that the typical password length, which they referring to what they consider to be the minimum length for a strong password of 12 to 15 characters or so, I believe, and I'm just spitballing here, is unreasonable to consider that someone would just be able to remember that, right, without putting some effort into it, which, generally speaking, when you change your password every 1 to 3 months, it's not like there's some time where you're supposed to use flashcards to remember it. And so to think that you would be able to reproduce even 12 characters, every couple months, that has nothing to do with any of your previous passwords and doesn't relate to any existing passwords for other clients or for your social media or anything like that, is just unreasonable and foolish. And so by taking your one password and making it much longer, you can effectively overcome brute force just through time alone, right? Statistics will show you this. And then, that's how they get you on that cell. I would argue, right, if you're going to take one longer password and put all of your randomized passwords behind some wall, that you could just take the one longer password, add the name of the client or the thing to the beginning, middle, end arbitrarily, making it longer, therefore even better. And it wouldn't be so obvious, right? Because when a piece of malicious code or someone gets their hands on your computer and they're going, where do I find his information, huh? I wonder where I would look to get their information. Obviously, it's behind the password manager. That's the go-to. At least now, if they break in and they find out your password for one client, it's not necessarily as obvious that this long password has the name. It's unlikely that this is going to be that obvious to them or their software that this is going to be consistent across multiple passwords. Now, here's the better argument, I think. The better argument is to go back to what we used to do. What we used to do when we had some information that we wanted to remember and keep for ourselves is we would scribe it down, right? And you say to yourself, oh, but everyone and everything says not to write down your passwords because why? You're going to forget it on your desk at work, and then what? Your coworkers are going to take it, and then they're going to do what? I'm curious what kind of coworkers you have that you're concerned for your password safety. Let's consider it doesn't, stay in the office. Let's say maybe you forget it in your pocket. Then what? Your wife gets a hold of it and she decides to, or your kid gets a hold of it and they decide to, or even if you dropped it out of your pocket when you pulled out your wallet at like a Walmart and someone just randomly sees random numbers on a sheet of paper or random passwords, right? They're going to just instinctively know what and what to do with that. They're going to grab a security card key for your job, knowing somehow that where your job is. They're going to plug it into a computer that is recognizable just through that means alone. And they're going to, you understand what I mean? Because what is the alternative? Attaching it to this black box we call a computer that is connected to the entire planet. I'm sorry for raising my voice, but you don't know what you're even looking at here, because what you're looking at is like analog and digital signals being converted into bits. What you're smacking with your keys and what you're looking at, none of it has to be there. It could very reasonably, it takes effort to convert this into something intelligible for the reader. And so to not do so doesn't really require a ton of effort, does it? So, I would ask you, how do you even know when your computer isn't connected to the internet? Just being able to not get stuff from the internet doesn't tell you that, because it says it's not connected. Well, you might say, well, I'm not anywhere near Wi-Fi or plugged into. How do you even know how your computer is made? Do you understand how the microwaves that are in the air turn into text messages, or how the difference between those microwaves and the one in the actual microwave, transfer information versus heating particles? I would consider maybe just putting it on a sheet of paper, putting it in your pocket, and then looking at it anytime you need it. And if you're afraid of someone finding it in the trash, you can eat it. It'd be way better than spending money to put a giant red flag on this thing that they try and sell you on as well, it's so safe because the person who designed it can't acquisition it. As if that's not like the best advertising ever, right? Hey guys, we decided to do less as far as making a safe, secure backdoor for ourselves. And now we're no longer the target of anyone with malicious intent. And if we can just avoid legal problems through, because if someone tries to subpoena information, we just shrug, sorry. We designed it in a way it's impossible. So now they have relieved themselves of effort, of duty, and they've sold you on a false bill. So we'll get into the application later.